Hello, and welcome back to ZK1 Plays. I'm so glad that you've joined me today. Today, we're going to be ranking all of the Zelda titles that have ever been released. Let's get into it. All right, a quick note about how exactly we're going to do this. All of these titles most of these titles are incredible games. And so what I'm going to be doing is ranking them like in their day, when they were released. In other words, not taking into perspective like how these games are to play now, although that may like play a part in terms of like how timeless they are. But for instance, obviously the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, the newest entry, and the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, they have a hard time comparing in terms of like they were made in different eras, right? But I'll be ranking them based on how good of games I think they are in the context of when they were released. And the purpose of this is this. A lot of Zelda rankings that I've seen show these games as like which one is the actual best game. And I just think that is way too hard to quantify. And so a more meaningful way to look at the Zelda games might be to look at them in terms of like how many top tier games have they made over the years, because this is an incredible franchise, as I'm sure you're about to see. Okay, so let's get into number one, which is this one, Hyrule Warriors. I think that I can't remember what it's called, Calamity something. It came out in 2020 on the Switch, and I played it a bit. And it's not a Zelda game. It's a Warriors game that was done by this kind of like third-party company. And I will say this, it's probably a B or an A for some people, but for me it's a C-tier game because it's just not my style. I'm not so much for the looter hack and slash type of thing, okay? But it's still fun, has some of the same characters and stuff. All right, Zelda Breath of the Wild, S-tier game. Incredible game. The story was fun, but I mean, what it did for open world gaming and for world building and for exploration and freedom and physics sandboxes, it was just so revolutionary. And for me, probably the most fun that I had on my Switch in those early years of the Switch's life cycle. And so, yes, incredible video game. Absolutely belongs in the S tier. Next is Cadence of Hyrule. This was released on the Switch in 2019. I think that this is a rhythm-based game. I can't remember what the original one was called. Crypt of the Necrodancer. Crypt of the Necrodancer is the original one, and Cadence of Hyrule came out in that series. I actually didn't play this one, but I have played Crypt, and yeah, I mean it's a fun game. Again, it's not really. It is very fun. It's not my style in terms of it didn't have like a straight story. That at least that I know of. And so, all right, Zelda. Oh, another one that I have not played. I can't really tell which one this is. Four Swords. Yeah, Four Swords. I haven't played that one either. Four Swords Adventure. Have not played that one. All right, the original Hyrule Warriors. I have played this one. About the same for me. I will say, however, the second Hyrule Warriors was way better than the first one. Okay, Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. This is a 3DS release. Was just a really incredible release because the story was fun, all the callbacks that it made to A Link to the Past, and yet all the stuff that it did to make itself its own. And the controls and the graphics were so tight. Yeah, so if you have a handheld system and can get your hands on it, A Link Between Worlds is an incredible game. Again, in my opinion, it might be like the best that 2D or top-down Zelda has ever done. It's an incredible game. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Link's Awakening DX. I'm not sure that I've played that one. It's released on the Game Boy. Okay, yeah, I know that I have not played that one. But it's Link's Awakening, so I'm sure it's incredible. Not Link's Awakening, Link to the Past. All right, Link's Awakening. Next, Link's Awakening is the remaster here, yes. I have played this one. Another incredible game. This one, to me, just the length of it, which I know it was originally like a Game Boy game, so that maybe holds it back for me a little bit because it was such a short experience. But the gameplay and the graphics and the adventuring and man, again, the beautiful colors of the graphics, it was a fun game too. So you should definitely check out Link's Awakening. Again, a shorter experience, but the game is so much fun. Link's Crossbow Training. Probably down here with Hyrule Warriors. I remember getting this with my attachment thing that I bought for the Wii, and yeah, I played it maybe once. But then again, I loved Twilight Princess. We'll get there. Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past. Link to the Past, S tier. Absolutely S tier. Revolutionary for what it did for the whole game. Now, I am going to order these tiers, by the way, so I do think Breath of the Wild is better than Link Between Worlds. I do think Link Between Worlds is better than Link to the Past. But Link to the Past, again, very, very fun game. If you have never played it before, and you're going to play it on a virtual console, or maybe somehow like on a 3DS, then be ready. It is a hard game for those of us in the modern day. And I will say, save states really help also. Okay, Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, this is a tough one. I'm going to have to put it below Link Between Worlds, personally, for me. I know it's so many people's favorite Zelda game. The story, the emotional impact of the story is way higher than like any other story in Zelda history. But for me, the gameplay mechanics aren't my favorite. I like the 3-day cycle. I think it's a blast. I think it's unique. I think it was revolutionary at the time. It's just not my favorite way to play Zelda. But if you haven't played it, you need to play it. I would say even you're not a full-on Zelda fan unless you have played it. All right, Majora's Mask, 3DS version. I think I like that one even better. Some people think it makes the game too easy. For me, I think it cuts around the corners in a way that allows new players to experience it that may have, like if they were going back to play the true original version, they might have given up before they actually finished it. And so it's more accessible, I guess you could say it that way. Minish Cap, awesome game. The story's pretty good. I like I believe that this is the original place where like the idea of the Four Sword was born, and it was such a cool mechanic. I really, really liked it. But the Minish Cap is, to me, not quite as good as Link's Awakening in terms of the story and even the experience in general, but Minish Cap is a super fun one. And the idea of like shrinking small, I hope that they'll bring it back in a future Zelda because it was so fun. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Ooh, this is a tough one. For me, this is the cream of the crop. I mean, there may be one or two that beat it out down the road, but Zelda Ocarina of Time, it's such an experience emotionally. To me, the story is told in almost like a lighter perspective. You get bits of dialogue here and there, and there's only a couple of like deep exposition moments. So much of the story is experienced and it's lived because you're getting to live in two different eras. And beyond that, I mean, the gameplay mechanics and the 3D world that it imagined, and this game is it holds the perfect game in the history of gaming for a reason. And to me, again, like even to this day, I've never had a bad experience with this game. I do think the 3DS version, I mean, they are, to me, for slightly different reasons, both masterpieces. Okay, Oracle of Seasons I have played, and that one I would put it a B. Yeah, maybe even C. Yeah, probably C. It's fun. It is very hard. It's also a little lackluster in terms of like the way that the game rolls. Like I guess the way that you progress, sometimes it feels like you're just grinding away and you're never getting anywhere. But it does play like a top-down Zelda game. But to me, it's not even in the ballpark with like say Minish Cap or Link's Awakening or some of these other stories that have been told. Yeah, let's put it there for me. Ages, I haven't played, but I imagine it would be in the same zone. I've heard that Ages is a little better than Seasons, but I'm not sure. Okay, Legend of Zelda, I believe this one is the Phantom Hourglass. Phantom Hourglass is really good to me. I really enjoyed it. Of course, I had that as a kid, so maybe there's a little bit of nostalgia speaking here as well, but all of the drawing mechanics and the way that they use the touchscreen to reinvent Zelda controls, and it was top down, but it was also 3D graphics. Like the game was really cool and revolutionary in its own way, albeit not quite as much as the series has been at other times. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Oh, this is hard if it's A or S. Yeah, probably A for me, but like top of A tier. To me, one of the most fun that I've had in recent years in like playing a traditional Zelda game, because the story's incredible, the controls are incredible, whether you played it on the original Wii version or even the remastered version on the Switch. The game, it controls so well, and again, like getting the background of the whole series and like why Zelda and Link and Ganon are the way that they are. Yeah, to me, it's the full package. And if you skipped it because you were waiting on Breath of the Wild, or maybe you weren't playing the Wii during the time that it released, you should go back and pick up a copy of the Switch version and check it out, because it is it's an incredible game. Also, some of the best dungeons and boss fights in Zelda history come from Skyward Sword. So please, please, please check it out. All right, this one, I'm trying to make out what this one is. Oh, I think that's Skyward Sword HD. I'm going to put it right here by Skyward Sword. Okay, Spirit Tracks. Spirit Tracks is, to me, in the same vein as Phantom Hourglass. Most people prefer Spirit Tracks. I prefer Phantom Hourglass. And it just happens to be because, to me, Phantom Hourglass did first what Spirit Tracks just improved upon and made better in a lot of ways. But I do enjoy the ocean and the boat, as I'm sure you'll see in a minute with these other games that are in the list. Okay, next up, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. This one is easily an S tier for me. Maybe not quite reaching the heights of the revolutionary status of Ocarina of Time, but again, bar that, like, it is such an incredible experience. For me, close to the perfect video game. It's deep. The exploration is almost limitless. You know, there's so many goals and things to do. And if you want to just go straight through the story and hit it like a checklist, you can do that as well. The sandbox physics are incredible. All the new ways to play the game, like Ultra Hand and Fuse, it's so fun. So please, I mean, if you haven't tried that one, obviously that one's the newest one. It's probably why most people are even getting this video in their feed, because they've played Tears of the Kingdom recently. But Tears of the Kingdom absolutely tops the list, bar maybe Ocarina of Time. Okay, Triforce Heroes. This one, actually, I haven't played. Yeah, I'm not putting it in S tier, don't worry. I haven't played it, but I've heard that it would fall in this area. I really do not know. Okay, Twilight Princess. For me, S tier. Goodness, yeah, probably here as well. I do like it slightly better than Majora's Mask, but it kind of has that same ethos in a way. Like, both of them are deeply emotional experiences and quite a bit darker than the rest of the series. But for me, Twilight Princess, I just love the way that it brought in the motion controls, but it didn't necessarily sell out to them, you know. But I also really like the way that Twilight Princess used the dungeons and the traditional items and bosses, and it just kind of refined that type of gameplay that Ocarina and Wind Waker and all of these others had been building to, and it got it to the point where it's like, this is maybe as far as we can realize these concepts. Now, obviously, they've just been able to further realize them with different ways in Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But to me, some of the best dungeons in the game, just standalone dungeons, are in Twilight Princess. They feel like old Zelda, but with these beautiful new graphics, and yeah, it holds a special place in my heart. It definitely is an S tier game, but I don't know that it tops the list necessarily. Wind Waker, man, where does it go? I think it goes in the same area, but maybe it actually beats out Link Between Worlds. The Wind Waker, very close to a perfect game in my opinion. I'm actually going to put it above Breath of the Wild for me, from my experience. Now, a lot of people wouldn't agree with that, but I think the Wind Waker, the story, the graphics, the gameplay, the sailing, the going underneath the ocean, like all the memorable characters and dungeons and the music. I mean, it's the whole package. Okay, if you've never given that one a try, you got to give it a try. All right, and finally we have The Adventure of Link, and that is Zelda 2. Let's see, The Adventure of Link, to me, B tier. I think that sounds about right. I really enjoyed The Adventure of Link. For the gameplay perspective, I enjoyed it a whole lot more than I enjoyed Oracle of Seasons. But it is very hard. and I would say it's a little obtuse a lot of the time. Like, it's very hard for people in my generation and younger to approach the game at all, because it's quite a bit more stout than a lot of the Zelda games are. But again, it's still a Zelda game, and it's fun. And for me, as like kind of a more hardcore gamer, I enjoy the Dark Souls type experience. It was a fun experience going into that and never having played it before, and kind of trying to overcome that challenge. All right, so that is the list here. And the only game that I don't see on this list, and I'm sure some of you are shouting out at me because I've missed it, but it would be the original Legend of Zelda game, and I don't see it on this list. But if I were to put the original Legend of Zelda game, I would probably put it in S tier, albeit at the bottom of S tier. Again, ranking it in its day, absolutely one of the best, if not the best, NES game of all of them. But my personal opinion, it doesn't top the list. It doesn't get to that place of games that are worth being called like one of the best games of all time. And so it would be about right here is where the original Legend of Zelda would be. Now, here's the point I was making with this tier list. As you can see, the Legend of Zelda series like skews so hard toward incredible games. Like, and ranking them is fun, and you can see kind of like what a person's opinion is on exactly which one, as you can see in my opinion, Ocarina of Time is the best. But I think we have to remember that when we're talking about Zelda games, we're literally talking about a franchise that, in my opinion, has no F or even E tier entries in the entire series, right? And then everything below C tier is pretty much just spin-offs. So like any Zelda game that you're able to pick up, in my opinion, besides Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages, is going to be an amazing game to play and put hours into, and you will feel excited, and you'll feel like you're engaged with it, and it will leave a good taste in your mouth. And so once again, it's such a cool series that I've been able to experience throughout my lifetime, and I hope that it will continue even beyond Tears of the Kingdom. All right, and I appreciate you guys for checking out this video, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like or subscribe, and feel free to leave your top few Zelda games in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think about the Zelda series and how you would have ranked these as I did. All right, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video.